Hey, everybody. Good morning and welcome to Think Business Sales Edition. Jeff Gunsberg and I are looking forward to talking with Jared Rothberger. Jared, you've been a repeat guest. We love having you on the show. I always love talking to you, always love learning from you and hearing what you're doing in the business. I want to jump right in because, your business, it's hard to believe we were talking right before we went live. When I was starting to do Facebook Lives, which was kind of right before the pandemic, I was trying to play around with it. We were having some technical issues. I was new to it. But since the pandemic has started a year ago, wow, has your business evolved? And you've been on the show a couple of times throughout the last year. But, as we're looking now, I mean, we're sitting here, it's February 19th. And I remember I was doing a keynote in Nashville on March 2nd. And during the keynote, people were talking about this thing called coronavirus. And while at the keynote, the company that I was talking to shut down all domestic and international travel. And everyone was like, what is going on? And so we've been in this pandemic, this lockdown for almost a year. And many businesses have been hurt, and our thoughts go out to them for a speedy recovery. But your business has really taken off, and you have pivoted and grown. And I think it's worth talking about how not only you did that, but how you kept your culture intact.
Sure. So there's a lot there. First of all, I definitely want to say, thanks for having me back. It's good to be back on the show and be able to chat with you guys. Thank you. So yeah, the last year's just been insane. I mean, and it's been crazy for everybody. Obviously, like you said, some industries are definitely still hurting and still down. The pandemic was one of those business times where everybody kind of got kicked in the teeth. Yeah. And the question was, are you going to get back up? How are you going to get back up? What are you going to do to respond? And there's a lot of buzzwords out there. Did they pivot? Did they how did people kind of react to the pandemic, and how did they kind of change their mindset? For us, it was all about the culture. It was all about keeping that, keeping my team motivated, keeping them, passionate about taking care of our franchise owners, and they get to take care of our customers, and just being as accommodating as possible. This was one of those moments where, our focus on customer service really made a huge difference with acquiring new customers, because in the face of what do we do? How do we have to shut down all business, and then we got to reopen. And when we reopen, we have these different cleaning needs, and we have these different, and being able to accommodate our customers and accommodate new customers is really how we were able to, bounce back and thrive in this.
How do you, obviously last time we talked, we were kind of like in the throes of everything. And, I think you guys were already in a position to, kind of capitalize on what was going on, and already were moving in that direction, if I recall correctly. And, what's the difference? Like, you mentioned motivating the sales team. And, I think John and I kind of both understand that. And just kind of for everybody out there, what were some of the things that you used, and the tax as far as, motivating and inspiring your team during a time when, it's hard to find inspiration, and, things are negative, and, how's that progressed from then to now?
Sure. So, normally when you talk about motivating your team, there's like financial incentives, or, you're throwing out, prizes for this, or, a prize wheel, or whatever it is. Right. In this, we had the advantage of, we were there to help people. The cleaning industry went from being this commodity that nobody cared. Nobody wanted to know what was going on with the janitors at night, and They just wanted to come into a clean office the next morning. And now everyone's a cleaning expert. Everyone wants to make sure you're using hospital grade disinfectants and the right chemicals and the right equipment and all of those things. And, so for us, the motivation was, hey, we're able to help people. We have the tools, we have the resources where we can actually help people. We can we can actually clean spaces, disinfect spaces. We have the technology, we have the right equipment. We've been doing this well before the pandemic. So when the pandemic hit, we were ready for that. And all we had to do was kind of play up some of those strengths that were already there. And that really helped the sales team because they knew, it's much easier to sell when you're selling something that people can believe in. And people can be behind.
Yeah, I want to talk about your sales team for a minute, and I want to talk about sales in general because, I've known you since you started your business, and when you started your business, when you start any business, you're cold calling, you're calling, you're out there proactively, hunting. Now all of a sudden the pandemic hits, and not only are you hunting, but your phone is ringing off the hook. How do you? But hopefully hopefully this will be over soon, and yet you don't want to stop the proactiveness, right? And so how do you balance the proactive business development with the calls going out while calls are also coming in?
Sure. So most of the time, our focus, especially the last 2 years, really has been on getting the phone to ring. Yeah. So obviously this helps when, we're getting referrals and we're getting, people are like, wow, JamPro was able to actually, do what they say they were going to do. And our space is clean. And so the phone's been ringing because of that. And because of things like reviews but we basically stopped doing a lot of our outbound calling. And I mean, this was before the pandemic because realistically, what we're looking for are customers that are potential customers that are looking for a good service. And so it's AdWords, it's creative marketing. We're doing some promotions with giving away a free PlayStation 5. But it's all things that really get our phone to ring and get people calling us or people filling out form fills and reaching out to us.
So, I hear you kind of talking about, I feel like if you're in the business that you're in, and before this, if your service isn't solid and your team isn't solid, you have an issue going into this. And I think that, you've been in a good place to be able to capitalize on, what's going on in the market and actually receive the call and, and be able to actually service these particular people. And I know last time we talked, it's like, okay, for us, we like to think COVID is something that's not going to be, the long-term situation. But a lead into some long-term relationships and ability to provide service, right? For, for clients that will need, just regular janitorial services that will still long last what's going on now. And, I think your mindset, even, looking back 6-8 months, whatever it is, you already had that, that kind of mindset. How is that translated into, for you? Is that mindset, have you guys been really able to capitalize and turn those clients who maybe were calling in that were just looking for, quote unquote,
N95 mask, right?
Yeah.
I can. So, how were you able to, to convert and have you and the team been able to do that and kind of, a little insight into how?
Yeah. Well, can I just add one thing onto that? Because I love the question, which is, you get people kind of, I love what you said, right? How, getting our phones to ring and getting customers in and our phones are ringing. but then getting people in that's the first step of any sales funnel, which a lot of people always, say, hey, how do you get a sales funnel? Well, the first step to a sales funnel is getting your phone to ring. The next step is everything that Jeff's asking on how you build relationship capital. So it sparks curiosity. They know they need you for, this is a marketing term, not a COVID term, survival. And then how are you then the solution ongoing to help them while you've raised their awareness? So now you can answer the question, Jared.
Right. So, so I like to go back to, when I did BNI for business networking, one of their mottos is that you want to work with people that you know, like, and trust. And I firmly believe that. And the whole team here understands that relationship building is key to growing the business. Whether it's potential customers, current customers, former customers, it doesn't matter. And building that relationship and helping people understand that we are going to provide that quality service. People knew that, whether it was someone we dropped a proposal off to, a year ago and they decided not to go with us at the time, they knew that they could come back to us, and they knew. So we've been picking up a lot of those types of customers that maybe they didn't go with us the first time and they went with the lowest bidder at the time, or they went, for whatever reason, they went with another company. We find that a lot of times people will cycle through, go through 3 or 4 companies, and then eventually they land on us and they stick. Our customer retention is 5 times the national average for janitorial, and I mean it really makes a big difference. When you look at our reviews and things like that, it's all about the relationships.
Let me ask you a question. I want to talk about retention because I think that's such an important topic, right? There's, a lot of times people think turnover when it comes to, internal employees. A lot of times I don't think people pay enough attention to business owners or salespeople specifically, the cost of getting a client, and B, the lifetime value of a client. And so when you talk about retention, because there is so much lifetime value of a client, not only what they spend with you and work with you on, but the referrals that you get from them. And so when you're retaining a client in today's climate with what you do, and I don't know the answer to this, but where there is going to be a line where you're going to have to probably work a little bit harder because the pandemic is going to be over. And so you're going to have to show another level of value, right? And so what is that, and how do you layer that in now for knowing that hopefully 6-12 months from now, when the pandemic is over, they still see your value?
Sure. So we look at every complaint, every issue that could possibly come up as an opportunity. So those are our times to shine. And every time, there's anything from a missed trash can to, someone accidentally sets off an alarm, to whatever it may be, those are opportunities for us to come in and be heroes. In janitorial, you're there at night and they come in the morning and everything looks fine. And okay, you did a good job. And that's going to go on repeat for a long time. So our industry is not known for great customer service. Our industry is not known for, responsiveness or really any professionalism. So that's really how we win customers and continue to fight for their business.
Yeah.
So, we check in with our customers. We follow up with our customers. If you're with most cleaning companies, you never hear from them once you sign the contract. And a lot of people, that's how they want it. For us, we want to be there. We want to make sure our customers are happy and continue to prove that we're a part of their business for the long haul.
Right. You said something in the previous question in your answer that was interesting to me, and it's something that kind of resonates with me. You talk about lowest bidder, right? Like, I've always, and I'm just kind of, my question is, I'm curious as to your perspective and how you couch it and how you sell on your side. But, you have to be able to receive the benefit on your end, right? To be able to provide that service. And I think a lot of people on the front side are searching for the lowest cost provider. And, ultimately in the end, it seems to be a hindrance, to them and their business based on, having to switch and jump to, to new companies. And I would imagine there's some turnover in your business, and you obviously figured out a good way to, to capitalize on that. But, how do you couch that, when you're selling and you have a service that, okay, fine, I'm not the most expensive, but I'm not the cheapest, and here's where I'm at and here's why. What's your, the kind of the method, and the mindset behind that?
I have one thought on that real quickly before you answer it, because it's all about value. But I got a fortune cookie at a Chinese restaurant, Peking House in Royal Oak, probably 15 plus years ago, and I never forgot it. And the fortune cookie said, cheap things are of no value and valuable things aren't cheap. And, there's also a saying, which I don't like because I think it's tacky, which is, if you have to ask the price, you can't afford it. I don't like, that's a horrible phrase, but I do believe that cheap things are of no value and valuable things are not cheap. When you sell the value of things, just as my 2 cents, it's the responsibility of every business person and every salesperson to sell the benefits and value of what they do. In every conversation, there needs to be layers of that. And when you do that, then people understand the price. So I just wanted to give my 2 cents on that real quickly, because your question sparked my fortune cookie, and then it sparked a thought. So, Jared,
I know it was my question, but I have to put some further 2 cents in too.
Yeah.
You're undervaluing yourself, right? Like if you're somebody who's out there and you're saying, I'm the cheapest. Well,
right.
You're saying my price is the cheapest, but in my mind, you're also saying that I'm the cheapest, and I think that there's a fine line, right? Of like defining value in yourself and what you offer, and knowing that, and being okay with some people saying, I'm not going to use you because I want the cheapest. And, that's kind of, that mindset. So, all right. Now,
and another saying, you get what you pay for. All right, Jared, it's yours.
So that I'm going to jump on. You get what you pay for.
There we go. I knew if Jeff and I talk long enough, there'd be something.
You guys got it. You guys got it. But, in my industry, it's even simpler than everything that you guys are talking about. Money is time. We bid. Our pricing is very competitive, but it's based on time. So if you want the job done right, it's going to take, let's say it's going to take 4.2 hours. Then we multiply the 4.2 by our hourly rate, by our, times per week, by that, it's how long we're going to be in the building. And there's no wiggle room there. There's no like magical, like we can sharpen our pencil and can you come back and give us a lower price? No, in order, we customize every job. So we come in, you want your refrigerator cleaned out. You want, the hallway in the main hallway vacuumed extra, every night, because that's where the high traffic is, or whatever it is. We calculate how long it's going to take to do that. And that's how we base the pricing. So anybody that's going to come in significantly less is not going to be able to get that job done. I mean, cleaning is cleaning, and there are some people who are phenomenal cleaners and there are some people who are not, but either way, at the end of the day, most people are going to fit into the bucket of, this is how long the job takes and this is how we have to bid it. So, to show our value, if somebody's coming in significantly less, I would challenge that they'll be back talking to us in a month or two. And they realize that their current company can't get it done.
I just thought, as you're talking about, I just keep on thinking, you're thinking, you say, well, we'll clean out a refrigerator, but my thought was, you could, a marketing thing, you may be doing this already, but you could do a marketing campaign that says everybody hates to clean. We don't, right?
Yeah.
You know, or everybody hates to clean. We love it. I mean, because I think, you know, forget the pandemic. I think most people hate cleaning, right?
Right.
And so you come in and I mean, you're doing such a great service, and now with the pandemic, you're keeping everybody safe and clean, right? It used to be clean and safe, maybe I'm getting it wrong, but now it's safe, and clean.
Yeah.
My next question for you, Jared, and I love everything that you're talking about right now, is really kind of how you do your internal training. You've been talking about salespeople, we've been talking about culture, we've been talking about, you know, there's been a lot of moving parts on how to communicate with the different types of clients that you're dealing with. And so how do you do your internal training when it comes to, hey, this is what's going on in the world right now, and this is what we need to be sensitive to, and this is how we need to sell today, listen today, respond today, et cetera, et cetera?
So it's a lot of conversations. I mean, it's a lot of talking to the sales team, and frankly, they're the ones that are out there in the field, and they're the ones that are out there, you know, meeting with customers and hearing the stories and the pain and the, you know, everything that everybody's going through. And, you know, on the flip side, the businesses that are, you know, essential, that need extra cleaning services, their food processing, their urgent cares, their hospital, surgery centers, things like that. So, you know, really our internal training is just having a lot of those conversations about what is it that we can do? What is it that we can offer to both sides of it? You know, we can offer the flexibility to the people who are struggling right now, that we know, you know, hey, give them a little time, they're going to recover. You know, they're in a rough industry, and it's just, you know, the times. And we can offer that higher level of detail and higher level of disinfection to the customers that are, you know, doing food processing, and they need, you know, a company that can handle the specifics of those jobs. So it's really, most of our training during the pandemic has been around identifying how we can better help our customer base.
Okay.
That's great. So, you know, I think that, you know, based on, it's interesting because like what you do, I feel like is somewhat of a thankless job, right? You know, and a lot of times it's just, this is what's supposed to happen and what's supposed to happen. And, you know, just based on, you know, and I feel like this kind of wears on the sales staff. And, you know, I don't think this is maybe as much motivating, but, you know, how do you keep your sales team, you know, with everything going on, and I'm sure the level of intense busyness that you have, like how do you keep them, you know, mentally right? Like how, you know, what are you doing? Are you meeting differently? Are you talking more often? Are you, you know, what's different with keeping the sales team really engaged?
So we've kept things actually pretty standard since before the pandemic. You know, we have our weekly meetings, we have our you know, our constant you know, check-ins and all that. But, you know, one of the things that we really focus on at our, you know, all staff meeting every week is, what are some things we can brag about that our franchise owners are doing? We call it our franchisee brag. So we talk about the successes that our franchise owners are having, and it's just for us internally. There's no like marketing campaign behind this or anything like that. It's just for our sales team and for our team to understand the impact they're having, because I believe that's a stronger sell to them and a stronger motivator to them than anything else we can do. I mean, obviously they're financially compensated, and, you know, we take good care of our people here, but that is, you know, that's really the motivation. Anything else is going to be, you know, fake. And for them to see the impact that they're having, you know, and changing a franchise owner's life, to be able, hey, you know, even in the midst of the pandemic, you know, franchise owners buying their first house, you know, because they were able to build this business, and they started with $1,000 in a dream. I mean, those kinds of stories are part of the fabric of what we do, and, you know, that's what the sales people are out there selling for.
Yeah. I love what you're talking about. I'm a big believer that people learn through stories and lessons, and that one of the biggest issues of companies are that they don't recognize their people. They don't let their people feel like they matter. And today more than ever, that is so important to highlight them and then connect them to the vision of the business, and so they understand their piece. Before we move into a quick speed round, Jared, share with everybody the difference between Jan Pro and Jan Supply, and who the ideal clients of each are.
Sure. So Jan Pro is commercial janitorial service. We do cleaning, janitorial cleaning after hours, sometimes during the day, but we clean anything from industrial facilities, schools, religious institutions, car dealerships, fitness centers, office, medical, pretty much any commercial space. And those are our customers. We don't do any residential. On the Jan Supply side, that is the supply business. Our ideal customers are going to be small janitorial customers or janitorial companies, and businesses that need hand soap, paper towel, toilet paper, that kind of stuff for their facility. And the general community, anybody who wants commercial grade stuff for their home.
Yeah, we get all of our masks, Purell, paper towel, shields. I could name 5 other things I think we get. We are stocked from jansupply.com. So jan-supply.com. All right. You ready for a quick speed round, Jared?
All right. I'm good.
All right. Here we go. So one of the things you talked about today is the importance of selling value. And so what is one thing that every business owner and salesperson can do to sell their value more effectively?
Just be honest. Just be honest. This is what we can do. This is what we can't do.
Yeah.
This is where we land. And people are just looking for those guardrails. They're looking for that honesty.
Yeah, I agree with that. No BS.
Right.
Yeah.
Kind of off the heels of the question I asked before, what's the most, like I said, I would imagine they're few and far between. What's the most amazing compliment that your company's received, over this time?
Wow. So I recently did an interview for a local organization, and they asked me some questions, and I started going into my little spiel about this is what we did during the pandemic, and here's how we pivoted, and all the same. And the person who brought me in stopped the interview, and she said, "You need to be less humble. Like, you were a hero during this pandemic." And it was, I was tearing up.
Yeah.
And it was, I do not see us as heroes. We provided a service, and we got paid for that service. And I would say our company did a great job during the pandemic. And that's why we're seeing, the success that we're seeing. But it was pretty emotional.
Yeah.
Right.
There's no better marketing tool than personal humility. So I love that story. The number one thing you learned about yourself this past year?
I can do it. I can do it. I bought my business partner out in October of 19, and that was a big moment for our business and for me. And the uncertainty of being on your own versus with a partner, and kind of losing that crutch. I learned in the last year I can do it.
Yeah, and what I think we all learned in the last year, you couldn't read in a book, you couldn't learn in a classroom, and so kudos to you. I love that answer.
Yeah. Favorite quote?
It's Richard Branson. It is, clients do not come first. Your employees come first. You take good care of your employees, and they will take great care of your clients. That's close to the quote. But
yeah, you know what? As we close this, I love that quote. As we close this, I'm going to share one of my favorite quotes, which is Tony Robbins: "Success minus fulfillment equals failure." And it's great talking to people like you, Jared, who are so fulfilled in what you do, and your story is filled with the through line of fulfillment, your team's fulfillment, your clients' fulfillment. I mean, all of it comes from such a heartful, I don't know if that's a right word, but such a heartfelt place. And that's why I love talking with you. I love connecting with you and hearing and learning from you. It's great. What you've built is tremendous, and you continue to do great things. jan-supply.com is your website, and jan-pro.com/Detroit is your other website. Anything that we didn't ask you that you want to talk about as we kind of come to a close?
No, just thank you for having me on, and always love talking to you guys. Yeah.
Well, thank you to the Think community. Thank you for listening. If Jared could help you in any way, please reach out to him. Jeff, I'll let you close it up.
Yeah, it's first off, thanks, for being on. We love having you on and talking, and the leadership comes from the top, and you obviously are a genuine guy and want to help people, and obviously you have a great business and you want to make money too, but you're helping people and you're taking care of your employees and you're doing it the right way, and it's inspiring and nice to hear, and we really appreciate you being on.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. All right, Jared, thanks. I'm just going to end with Jeff, who I think is a crowd favorite, completely solid human and professional. Jeff, I agree. All right, Jared, thanks, man. Thanks, everybody.